Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Joel here with as many reviews as possible, and today we're doing the first look at the Reebok CrossFit Nano 7 Weave. Alright, so if you've been living under a rock and you didn't know that Reebok was coming out with an update to their not so well received Nano 7.0, then you're in for a surprise because here are the Nano 7 Weaves. They're called the Weaves because they have a different woven pattern to the upper than the original Nano 7s. They still do, however, use the Nano Weave upper. So first off, we're going to go over the most obvious and biggest difference between the two shoes, and that's going to be the new woven pattern for the upper. You're going to notice with the new Weave that the thicker fibers go horizontally through the shoe, whereas in the original shoe, they went vertically through the shoe. Not only that, is the new upper is now seamless in design. There's no seams anywhere, whereas the old upper had all these seams in here under the exoskeleton. There still is a mesh underlay to the Nano Weave upper though. From a look standpoint, the Nano 7 Weave is a much better looking shoe. Not that I even thought that the Nano 7 was a bad looking shoe in the first place. There were some odd colorways, but I didn't think it was a bad silhouette in the first place. Beyond the upper, there are only teeny tiny minuscule differences between the two shoes, and they're really hard to spot. One of them that I noticed was that the tongue on the Weave is a little bit more padded than on the Nano 7. It's hardly worth mentioning because it's so slight, but it's there. Also, the collar is a little bit more padded on the Weave as well, but once again, it's so minuscule that you wouldn't even notice it in the first place. Another thing that is super duper minuscule that no one was probably going to notice anyways is that this overlay that connects to the part where the rope guard is, that goes around where the laces are, is a little bit thinner on the Weave than it is on the original Nano 7. Once again, super duper minuscule. Probably nobody is going to even notice that there was any kind of difference there. Now another difference that I noticed that might be just me going crazy or me just trying to find things is that I feel like the midsole is a tad bit thinner on the Nano 7 Weaves. These feel a little bit more close to the ground than the original Nano 7s, but once again, you have to have both shoes on to even notice, and it's really slight. So those were the differences in a very quick snapshot, but now we're gonna go over what these differences actually mean to you. So one of the biggest gripes with the original Nano 7.0 was that the shoe was stiff, the upper needed time to break in, the outsole was stiff, and it was overall just a clunky shoe. It was, however, the best weightlifting training shoe that I have ever come across because it was so stiff, it was super duper stable. With the re-engineered seamless upper of the Nano Weave, you're gonna notice that the toe box is a little bit more open than it was on the original Nano 7 because there's not as much fabric inside of it. You lose those underlays and it's more of just an open, wide toe box. Now some people are gonna like this and some people aren't gonna like this. If you originally thought the Nano 7 was a wide shoe, then you're probably not gonna like this. The difference feels like the Nano 5.0 to the Nano 6.0 or the Nano 3.0 to the Nano 4.0. Another thing that you're gonna notice obviously is going to be that the toe box is gonna be a little bit more flexible. Now since the upper is a little bit more flexible, it does allow the outsole and midsole to flex a little bit better at the toe, but don't expect a world of difference between the two shoes because they definitely do use the same outsole. And that is the main culprit on why the Nano 7.0s felt so clunky and stiff. Now one thing that really took me by surprise between the two shoes was that the Nano 7 Weaves weighed more than the Nano 7s. I weighed these at 12.7 ounces and these at 12.4. It's not that much, but you would think because of ditching some of that fabric, you would gain some weight reduction, but you don't, which is crazy. Now when it comes down to the weaves from a value standpoint, they retail for $130, which is the normal price of Nanos. They're not increasing the price at all, and from here on out, all the Nano 7.0s are going to be in the style of the weave. Reebok is kind of fire sailing their original Nano 7s. They're being discontinued and you can get them as low as $80, which is a very good price even with all the shortcomings of the Nano 7.0s. So now the question becomes, are the Nano 7 weaves worth almost a 50% price difference over the original Nano 7.0s? And should you upgrade if you already have the Nano 7.0s? The performance difference, from what I can tell, is only about 10 to 15% better with the weaves. Granted, the Nano 7 weaves are definitely the better shoe. Now don't worry, I'm still going to do a full performance review of the Nano 7.0 weaves. They do come out tomorrow, so I just wanted to get some of the key differences between the originals and the weaves out there before they came out, because I know I'm going to get a ton of questions when they finally drop. I'm going to leave a link in the description so that if you do want to buy them, you can go ahead and use my links to purchase them. And if you guys have any questions about the Nano 7.0s or the Nano 7.0 weaves, feel free to leave them in the comments section. As always guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.